All right. Okay. So we are live, and it is Friday night. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. So.
There we go. I think we get. Whoops! What just happened? I keep hitting the wrong button and going to the wrong camera.
I was just telling people about the census.
There we go. Ah, okay. So how's it going?
It's going. They want us to go to my boss, the one that wants us to go to Nantucket for a week. Leave next Tuesday. Do they pay for the hotel and stuff? It's the federal government, I guess so. Wouldn't be a bad time to go down there. I told her I didn't want to go. But I could probably change my mind. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if they pay, then you get a couple days there. And yeah, you're going to work most of it, but get some beach time. September is probably not a bad time to go down there, too. Because the weather's still pretty decent. And most of the beachgoers will be gone. Exactly. All the summer people will be back in New York or Boston or wherever.
Yep.
I've never been there. I read Moby Dick, but that's all I know about Nantucket.
I think it's changed a little since.
Yeah, something tells you.
Yeah. It's like Monterey and Cannery Row. What they did to Cannery Row is they really tarted it up.
Gotcha. So how's folks doing code-wise today? Super.
Yeah.
So I had a permissions issue that I had to work out. Actually, I'm still fighting with one last thing. I had a big code push out to production today and realized that there's a singular feature that it's not broken per se. It's just a small piece of the UI that should be there that isn't.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And so I gotta tackle that first thing. Well, I'll say Tuesday, but it probably won't be a big thing like between here and there, but it's, for whatever reason, there's just a Boolean set wrong somewhere, which shouldn't be a big deal, but I'm curious as to why it's, how did it not get set correctly between, the stuff that I did. So it's a minor detail, but other than that, a relatively decent, push to production. So, just one of those things. The other... Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I had a little UI issue today, too. Somebody was reporting, one of our applications, there's like there's a grid, and then you select something from the grid, and the rest of the page fills in with the detail, right?
Yeah.
Well, they weren't seeing the detail section at all. It was just gone.
Huh.
And so I tried it. It was fine. Someone else tried it. It was fine. That person tried it in another browser. It worked. And then they eventually put in a help desk ticket, and the help desk person reached out, and I'm like, nobody can recreate this issue. Like, I don't know what to, he's like, well, it happens for me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got on a screen share with him, and there's this really old component that's on this page. It's a time picker. It's from the Ajaxified library. I have no idea where this came from. Anyway, the page was zoomed out a little bit, and this control was positioning itself relative to other things like coordinates. And when the window was zoomed out, it just hosed the JavaScript and nothing else ran. But when it's
I've seen that before on websites.
Yeah, when it's 100%, it worked. So
weird. I got to tell you, there are times when I'm like, why is JavaScript still a thing?
Because somebody liked it somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. When it comes down to it, you know, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. You don't need to, you know, get a publisher's permission to put it on your platform or make it available to people. You know, it's just the, you know, the relative pain of JavaScript is so much higher than it is for almost every other platform out there. Now, there's some pretty painful other platforms out there, but
Perl.
Yeah, well, I mean, the idea of a zoom level, you know, causing your program to crash. You know, are you able to reproduce that with other like? Oh,
yeah. Once I noticed his window was zoomed out, I zoomed out mine, and yeah, I could recreate it every time. He sent me a screenshot of his JavaScript console, and I narrowed it down to, you know, some JavaScript in that component, and it's an ASP.NET thing that you register, you know, ASP tag, et cetera, and it just, yeah. Now I got to say, the JavaScript is not well written. You know, it's old. It's, you know, it's the spaghetti kind of JavaScript with global functions everywhere. So I mean, that's really what the problem was for hosing out the rest of the page. But
you get to figure it out.
Well, I mean, we just told him, don't zoom out.
Doctor, it hurts when I go like this. Yeah. Don't go like that.
I said we could fix it, but we replaced that time picker with something else, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can just make a change and push it to production. It's kind of a high risk system. So for now, it's don't zoom out.
Yep. yeah, that's kind of an odd one. I'd be curious to know how the zoom actually impacts it. It's like, all right, at what point in the code is it, you know, somewhere it's got to be causing an exception that
yeah, it's referencing other elements to get like XY coordinates, and like one of those elements is null, and so it's failing a parameter validation on that Y coordinate. So it might even just be a timing issue, you know, with the page rendering, and at the time that component is trying to render, maybe the page isn't all in place yet. But
yeah, and of course one exception, and you know it stops the process. So
yeah, house of cards.
Yep. Reminds me of that old story about the, you know, if what is it? If structural engineers designed houses the way programmers design applications, the first woodpecker to come along would destroy civilization.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one, but
the first completely unexpected thing to come along would just like completely wipe everything out. Which, as any programmer knows, is all too true. So,
yeah.
That woodpecker throws an exception, and nobody knows what to do with it. So if I recall, during the Code Camp meeting, Bob, you said that you wouldn't mind showing us the the capture the flag stuff that you're working on.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me till afterward that there could be spoilers in it.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Okay.
There's a couple spoilers, but definitely.
Do you want to hold off till we're not live then?
Oh no, I think it's fine. You know, somebody sees it, that's fine. You know, there are all kinds of ways to capture the flag, and you know, social engineering or you know, anything is fair game. So watching this recording, I guess, is fair game.
Yeah.
You know, but
Fair
if you're
enough.
ready, I'll show you what I got going on.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, share my screen. And you see that?
We see
Yep.
the team screen.
Okay. So this is my development tenant for O365. And I created a capture the flag team. And I created a custom teams tab. So if I go to the general channel, you can see I've installed it here. CTF for capture the flag. And if you click on that, it brings up the competition. And so this is kind of modeled after the Code Mash capture the flag that I participated in.
That's
earlier
cool.
this year. So this is really early, you know, it's not fully working, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. But I plan on having like an about, you know, talking about what this is and how to play. There'll be a leaderboard for, you know, who's got how many points and so on. And then the challenges. So the challenges are basically just like riddles and things you have to just figure out. And so I've got like, you know, category encryption, category SQL encoding, how many points this is worth, and then whether you've solved it or not. The good thing about a Teams tab is that you have direct access to the identity, and so it'll be easy to correlate data with, you know, a person.
Yeah.
So if Code Camp attendees are members in here, it'll make it easy. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but this can also be run as a separate website. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a Teams tab, but
Gotcha.
anyway.
So say that last part again. If Code Camp attendees are what?
If they're like members of your Teams tenant, like
Yes.
they're
Yep. So
part
that's
of the-
actually part of the plan is we are gonna import like all the attendees as members of the team itself. So in theory, they should be able to get, you know, access to the chat and video and, you know, the actual channels and all that stuff. So they should be able to interact on a slightly more connected level than, you know, just a series of video streams. So.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's good. If we can do this right in Teams, they don't have anywhere else to go, and you know, it's all integrated. We know who they are. You know.
Yeah.
At least enough to correlate, you know, their score with their login.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a couple of these challenges pretty well fleshed out. So like this one, image is everything. So the title is a little bit of a clue. And when you click on that, it says for the solution, download and analyze the file. And then when you think you have the flag, come back and enter it in this box and submit it.
Ha ha ha.
And so you'll notice a lot of things are written in leet speak.
Yes. Enter guess and submit and.
Yeah.
Ha ha
Yeah.
ha.
So like what you do here is you'd be like, okay, so I'll download this file.
And close. Ha! Took me a second to figure out that was close.
Close, yeah.
That's funny.
And so you download a file, and this is the file that it downloads. And so if you open it in a text editor, you know, this is kind of the thought process, right? You're like, okay, what is this? And then hopefully you're going to say, oh, that looks like a bunch of bytes. And so then you're going to say, well, how do I parse these into actual bytes? And so I've got a little script here. It's a possible implementation. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just, you know, picking the file so that I can read all the bytes from the file, load it into a memory stream, and then I'm going to keep track of, I'm going to parse out every 2 characters, and then I'm going to convert it to a byte. So it's going to convert from a string to a base 16 number, because those are all, you know, hexadecimal numbers. And so I'm going to just basically rip through this whole file, and every 2 number or 2 letter, you know, number and letter combination is going to become a byte. And then I'm just going to write all those bytes to a file. And so if I browse to, so it's all done. So what I did was I wrote a file to my delete me folder, and I named it a file. So if I go to delete me, here's a file. And so if I try to open this, you know, I might try to guess what it is. So I'll try opening with Notepad, right? And it obviously looks like garbage, you know, and well,
oh, you know what? I
just
just realized something. I think you're showing something that we're not seeing on the screen here.
whoops.
See
Sorry.
the challenge board.
Yeah.
Did I just share a window again?
Uh-huh.
Let me start over here.
Sorry about that.
Desktop. Screen 2. There we go.
There. Yep.
So you missed this whole part. This is
Yep.
This is the script that parses this file that I downloaded. Okay, so
Oh, wow.
this file that I downloaded from the challenge
Yeah.
is this.
Okay.
Okay, and so kind of you have to go through a thought process. Well, what can this be? Okay, those are hexadecimal numbers. Maybe they represent bytes. And so eventually you'll end up, you know, writing something to parse those bytes into, you know, back into a file.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is doing. It's just basically reading every hexadecimal set in this file, and it's converting them to bytes, and it's writing a new file.
Oh, I was wondering why the 4E was selected, but it looks like you're highlighting any pattern, and it highlights every existence of it, or every instance of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay. So that was not a clue per se.
Nope.
Okay. It was just that
Yeah.
editor.
So once you get through to creating a new file, you know, you get this file somewhere, and when you try to open it, you know, the first thing you might try to do is open it as a text file, and obviously it's garbage, so maybe text file is not correct. You might try PDF, you might try Microsoft Word, and eventually you might try something that opens images. And lo and behold,
That's
there's
awesome.
your flag. So the flag would be all your base would belong to us. And you'd enter that right here and hit submit, and you get the points.
Nice.
That's cool.
So another one I have here, I won't go all the way through it. Well, maybe I will. So this Docker one I have built. When you click on this, it just gives you a link. So if you click on the link, it takes you to Docker Hub. Okay, and so you've got this Docker Hub image, you know, there's no description, no nothing. So what are you going to do? You're going to pull it down, right? So if I copy that command, pull that Docker image. I go to look at what images I have. I see that it created this couple of images. And so what do you do with the Docker image? You run it, right? So Docker run, and I can just give it part of the image ID instead of typing out the whole thing. And then it comes back with access denied. You might want to set help to true. So like one of the clues is this one is environmentally friendly, right? So then over here it says you might want to set help to true. So maybe you're, if you're familiar with Docker or you've been doing some research, you're going to do Docker run -e for environment variable. Get it environmentally friendly. Equals true, and then
Okay, I get a question. Do we have an alternative for people who cannot run Dockers on their machine? Docker on their machine.
All of these things are alternatives. Nobody has to do any one of these in particular.
Right. Right. But there is an alternative, because with a Docker image, you can crack it open and you can look at the virtual file system and you could get the clue without actually running Docker.
Okay.
It's all about resourcefulness and research and, things like that.
Very cool. And so yeah, there'll be some people who gravitate toward like this challenge because it's Docker, and they'll probably get it a little bit quicker.
Right.
Other people will gravitate towards something else that they might recognize as opposed to Docker, so they'll get those points, and maybe this person who does Docker won't get that. But
right.
It basically encourages people to be broadly, aware of coding and in lots of different stacks, and rewards the person who covers the most bases, basically.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I just wanted to make sure that not everything was in Docker, because I can't run Docker on my system for some reason.
Right. It definitely won't all be in Docker. But there are still alternatives. I mean, you can spin up a VM, get some free Azure credits, spin up a VM, run Docker there. It's about resourcefulness and persistence, if you really want those points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's giving you clues as you get closer. Like I just ran it with help equals true, and it says to capture this flag, you must set the password.
Ah.
Right. And so now you're like, okay. So I'm going to set the password to something. I don't know what the password is. Then it says, oh, unfortunately, it changes every minute. And so you might think about it for a while and realize that, the password is the minute of the hour right now. And then there's your flag.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So it's just it's a process. Think it through, Sherlock Holmes, the issue, and
Yeah. That's really really cool. That'll be a blast.
Yeah, I think so. So that's it. That's the prototype. Obviously there's work to be done, but that's my concept.
Cool.
That is really awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, because that's going to be a lot of fun. And I really do hope that we pull this together enough to have a decent prize for whoever tops this off. So.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
So thank you for showing that to us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So anybody else got anything in particular going on tonight? It seems like a, kind of a right before the holiday, kind of evening. We usually get a few more people in here, but a lot of people have kind of taken off for a 3-day weekend type mini vacation or something like that. So
Wish I got that kind of time to take off.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely nice looking at a 3-day weekend and having Monday off. I don't know if you guys have that or not. I'm kind of guessing you do, but I know not everybody does. So, but yeah, that's definitely appreciated. And of course, knowing how things are for me, I'll probably end up taking a look at that problem that I was looking at. I mean, I can show you real quick what I was looking at there, just for the fun of it, and I think I know roughly what I got going on, but here, let me go ahead and share it out real quick just to. Just to take a look here. Sorry, I got Visual Studio coming up, so on this screen, of course. So. Come on.
Did you crank it up?
Yeah, it's partly because I'm streaming on a few different channels, and
yeah.
So
I bet.
I forget that this is actually one of those things. So the other thing that would be kind of a fun little thing to take a look at is maybe that routing issue in the Code Camp website too. But
Excuse me.
no, I should know better than to try to spin this up while I'm streaming here. Let me take a look here. I'm kind of curious what my task manager looks like while I'm doing this.
Well, last time when I tried to open Visual Studio, my CPU was at 100%. So
Yeah.
it's not going to play well at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're up there.
I mean, it's there to be used, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Just can be a little laggy.
Yep.
But it still works.
So it is in no device detail. Device component. I think it's in here. Yeah. So the piece that's visually missing off the page that I'm looking at comes down to this condition right here.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yep.
There you go.
So it's an IoT device that we're looking at, and for whatever reason, according to this condition, either device isn't available, or actually I know that the device is available, but according to this, twin is not set. And so I gotta dig in on why that is. And it's got something to do with pulling the twin data here, and I will have to dig in on that. To figure out what it is. Once I get that sorted out, this will be fine. But that's basically where that's at. But so that'll probably take a little bit to dig in on. But I also figured that I'd bring up the bit about routing issue, maybe at least start kind of pulling a little bit at that, unless somebody else has anything else they want to dig in on, or
Nope.
No, go for it.
all right. So this should load just a little bit quicker, especially considering most of it's cached now. All right, so all of the source for this is in the SRC folder. And I know this is, especially this folder list is really hard to see. I apologize for that. There's not much I can do to, actually, there is one thing, well, I don't want to change it while I'm trying to stream here. I was going to say I could change my screen DPI zoom, but if I try to do that while I'm actually sharing the screen here, it'll probably break something.
Probably.
So let's see, where might that be?
Which one of the 7 Angular configuration files you mean?
I'm not sure if it's actually going to be in that, or if it's going to be like in the app routing module, probably.
So one thing we had to do at work with an Angular app was actually set like a redirect in IIS, so that if it hit a URL that wasn't like the base root or like a routable Angular routable root, it just hit the base URL basically, so that the Angular router could kick in.
Yeah.
So your fix might not even be in the code. It might just be the web server.
You might be right as far as that goes. Let me bring up.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier.
Gotcha. So I think we might have, at that level, we might have been sort of talking around each other, because the problem has to do with the fact that it's not routing.
But it may not be routing because the information hasn't loaded yet.
Right.
Yeah, the router has to initialize.
So that is actually, so this whole website is actually in a one of those newfangled static static app web apps. And so I'm guessing that we'll have to mess with the settings here. Though I'm not seeing much control over it. So like if I say, yeah, there's like nothing in this.
Yeah, because like web config, that's a server thing.
Yeah.
Static website just shoves it down to the client and says you deal with it. So
right. So at that level, we don't really have control over it. So this is the environment for the update. Yeah, so this actually goes back to GitHub. So yeah, because every time we do a pull request into master, so interesting. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that, I guess. Because yeah, I mean, I get that we've got to get this spun up, but it really has to spin up in the browser.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's like some little tidbit online somewhere that says, oh yeah.
There must be. I mean, it might be something like a little bit of JavaScript that says if this router thing is undefined, you know, redirect to the base URL. I don't know, but
so I'm seeing a few good tidbits about static websites in Azure. So I'm like looking at, for example, this Angular app as, this is with Azure Function Proxy. So this is similar stuff, but not exactly the same. Adding a custom header. Making a request.
It's Joe.
Hi, Joe.
What's up, guys? I was actually just hanging out with Eric again, running some tests. Trying to get the keyboard to sound good for Sunday.
Ah, very cool. So I was just seeing what I could do to get the route set up for the website. So one of the problems that we have, I think we talked about it before. So you can just go to this website and then go to like the speakers page and you get this path. But if I open up another tab here and go directly to it, we get a 404 because the router hasn't started yet, and it's going to start in the browser. But I got to figure out, what allows that to load from the speakers page, and I think that might have something to do with what this.
Yeah, that looks right.
So you'll need to configure the server route to those requests to index.html.
Yeah, everything I read says you need to redirect it if it can't get to that site, to the primary site.
Unfortunately, they're using a function proxy, which you're not using.
Right.
But it's the same issue, it looks like.
Yep. So actually this makes me wonder, do I have a similar node anywhere in here? Well, actually, is that it right there? So I'm gonna stack this here and stack this over here. And that, whoops. No, this is C# here, not JSON. Not C#. This is JavaScript, but not JSON.
Right, that's the function config.
Right.
Right.
So it's like it's okay. So I think that this is basically what I got to do is figure out exactly where I've got to put something like this in that says, if I've got a wildcard, get the routes going.
Yep.
So, but we'll play with that.
Jim, that page isn't a post by chance, is it?
Which page? This one?
Yeah, the speakers page.
Yeah, I believe it is. No, it's probably a get. I mean, I can confirm that. If I bring up
DevTools.
Yeah, if I bring up DevTools here and try to go to that. All right, where does it tell me what kind of... Yeah, that's a get. And that makes sense because it's not like it's passing, any behind the scenes parameters or anything like that. So
yeah, I didn't know. I mean, of course, we've all seen SharePoint do tricky things like that sometimes. I didn't know if when you click on that navigation, sometimes it'll capture the fact that you click on that navigation. I agree with you. Most likely, it's not going to be a post page, even when it does stuff like that. But
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, it's almost got to have something to do with like how does it know to get to like index.html and stuff like that. So if I do a search, I'm betting there's a little more to it than that. Yeah, this might have something to do with it right here. Rule Angular route stop processing.
Oh, there is a rewrite there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, this makes me wonder.
Wonder what that stop processing does.
Yeah, so now I'm wondering if I do a rewrite rules. So yeah, this is basically, ooh, yeah, this looks like it's kind of the issue.
So maybe you can just put a web config file in there after all.
Oh.
What's hosting this site, Jim?
So this is an Azure static web app. So where was it? Right here. It's kind of newfangled, It's one of those. I mean, it's literally still in preview, according to this. So I find myself wondering, no, it's not just a matter of doing that. Maybe it's something to do with that, though. It doesn't totally seem quite right.
Hey guys, I'm going to say good night.
Good, Marie.
Bye guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming, Marie. All right. So I will play with this a little bit more over the weekend. We're pushing on time here, and I want to give Joe a little bit of time to tell us about Code Coda.
No. I didn't come here No. I came here to hang out with you guys. I didn't come here to promote my awesome show on Sunday nights. No. Well, it's been like 2 weeks now, so
Yeah.
definitely super excited about Sunday nights for sure, and hope that everybody can come make it. But well, let's keep working on this if that's what you want to do. I'm totally cool with that.
Well, I'm at a point here where I have a lead on it, which is better than I had before we started, and it could still, I could imagine this taking like hours to like dig in on. So my thought as far as that goes is rather than keeping this going and talking about it, I'll take it offline and solve the problem. And once I get it solved, you know, or once it gets solved, whether I do it or you know, somebody else, you know, hits me over the head with it or something like that.
If it's solvable.
I suspect it is, because it happens on other hosts. So, but anyway, you know, so like I say, once this is taken care of, I'll report back on Monday night in Code Review Nightly then. Or yeah, I suppose we probably will still have it on Monday night, but yeah, just thinking about the fact that it's Labor Day, but you know, holidays.
I'll be working, so I'll be around if you want to meet up for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, Monday holidays haven't stopped us on any other occasion, so you know, why not? Is that true? Yeah, even like 4th of July and stuff like that.
4th of July, right?
So, though, actually, if I remember right, 4th of July, was that on a Saturday? We still met on the 3rd, which was the holiday.
I think it might have been the 4th, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be
Friday.
It was weird because nobody had any like, you know, fireworks events anywhere, so you know, we were all sitting around at home, you know, wishing that, you know, we were, you know, having a regular 4th of July celebration instead
Not
of the
in Boston. People in Boston were lighting off fireworks left and right for like a month straight.
Oh yeah, well they were doing that around here too, but we didn't have like the full fangled, you know, public display, you know, so. But anyway, yeah. So like I say, I'll take this up over the weekend and see if I can't knock it out and report back on Monday night. You know, and we'll see what it looks like then. Or one way or another, I'll bring it up on Monday. So, but
Well, while you're sharing your screen, Jim, if you want to plug Code Coda, you can check out the website. I just updated it.
I was absolutely just going there, so very cool. Whoops. Nice.
You probably want to zoom out a little bit.
There we go.
You have a store?
Almost.
Okay.
Very soon. It's kind of the same thing I'll be doing with Granite State Code Camp. We're going to be trying to, well, we've been talking about trying to create a store, you know, maybe where people could buy a mug with a logo on it or something like that.
I still like that idea a lot. One of our sponsors is basically saying, no, we just want to ship people stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe the answer is if we can, why not do both? But the irony is that the one solution that I've found so far that I could, you know, just throw an address at them, you know, say ship one of these to this person. There's a site called Merchology that I've looked into, but they're really, really pricey, unfortunately. You know, so I would love to get the kind of sponsorship that would take, but we're talking like $100 per shipped unit. And it's like, there's no way we're going to get, you know, more than 5 or 6 units shipped at that kind of scale. So, you know, that might be a good thing to do for like the capture the flag winner or something like that, but or maybe a raffle winner or two, but then again, the prices that Merchology quotes are at the scales of like 25 to 50 or, you know, something like that. So, you know, we'll play with it, but you know, it'll be interesting. I really do like the idea of doing the Spreadshirt store to, you know, to have it, but yeah, this website looks great. In the meantime, you know, I'm really looking forward to the show on Sunday night too. So
Cool. Yeah, we like I said, we just were running some tests right before I came over here, doing a little bit more stage setup and just trying to make some more minor improvements here and there, you know, every week. So, and I've been working on the slides actually a bunch over the last couple weeks, trying to sort of lay out how the gameplay will work and all that. So it should be pretty fun, you know, talking about how the game will work and all the different parts of the game. And of course, we'll be looking at code and listening to Eric play some music.
very cool. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. So thank you. Anything else before we call it a night tonight? It's kind of an odd night, but again, I think that's mostly due to the fact that we're right in front of a long weekend and, you know, all that stuff. But I definitely thank you all for joining in, and if anybody has anything else before we call it a night.
I'm all set.
Nope, better see you guys on Sunday night.
All right, fantastic. Thanks again for coming.
Hi, Karen.
All right. We'll catch you then. I'm signing off the live broadcast now, so.